Topping this week's cattle industry news, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association is aggressively responding to an article published in the latest issue of Time magazine that paints a disturbing picture of modern food production. The article blames America's farmers and ranchers for accelerating global warming, causing obesity, and producing food products that are, quote, increasingly bad, even dangerous. Joining me in the studio today is Darren Williams, Executive Director of Communications for NCBA. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Kevin. It's good to be here.
You bet. You know, Darren, that I was shell-shocked and frankly infuriated when I picked up this news story at the DIA airport a couple of weeks ago and read what Brian Walsh had to write about our industry. Little did I know until I talked to you that you'd been on the beat from the very beginning and actually already had a conversation with him. Can you tell us how you were involved?
Sure, Kevin. First, I want to say I understand your frustration. I've heard the same frustration from beef producers all across the country, frankly, livestock producers, food producers all across the country, and we understand that frustration. And unfortunately, you're probably going to be even more frustrated, perhaps even mad, when I tell you the story of what we did to try to work with this writer, Brian Walsh, in putting this story together. We provided him with experts in human nutrition, experts in the environmental impact of livestock production, experts in the difference between organic and natural and conventional beef production, and even two beef producers, feedlot operators from Colorado and Nebraska. And unfortunately, he interviewed them but chose to ignore every word that we provided for this article.
You're kidding me.
Now, it's a very frustrating experience to have it. I spoke personally with Brian Walsh, addressed all of the issues that he was raising in this story, asked him to provide the other side of the story, offered to put him in touch with experts, not just to believe me and what I would say, but to believe the experts. And he went so far as to interview them, but then completely left all of the information they provided out.
One small quote from one of our NCBA folks, it looked like.
Well, that's right, 12 words.
Yeah.
From our Director of Legislative Affairs, Christina Butts, about the safety of antibiotic use in livestock production.
Well, tell me, you work with media all the time. Is this pretty typical?
Well, no, I'd say it's not. Over my 20-year career, I've worked with a lot of reporters, and I've always respected journalists for their ability to put aside their personal bias and write a balanced news article and let the reader, let the viewer decide, which side they believe. And unfortunately, I think it's a disturbing trend that we're seeing magazines like Time go from being news magazines to being opinion journals. And it is a trend that we're seeing. It's not the first time we've seen it, but I have to say that this article was just over the edge and really was the tipping point for us. And we said, enough is enough. We're not going to take it anymore. We're going to tell people what we did behind the scenes to try to provide balance for this story and call Time out and Brian Walsh out for leaving our side of the story completely out of it.
Well, so tell me, as we look forward, clearly you're going to continue to respond, as you always have to these stories, but what can we do to get off the defensive and be more proactive in these issues?
That's a great question, because we can sit around and gripe about Time magazine, and believe me, I've spent my fair share of time over the past week griping about this article. But we've got to find another way to get our story to consumers. If we can't depend on mainstream media, and we haven't given up on mainstream media, we are taking our story out to other reporters, balanced reporters, and there are still some out there who we believe might be interested in telling the story of American agriculture, of livestock production, beef producers in this country, and the job that we do every day to produce the food that we put on not only our tables here in this country, but all across the world. And so we're going to continue to work with media that we believe is balanced and fair and can do a fair story. But we're also going to do an end around, if you will, on some of that media. And we're going to take our story direct to consumers, one-on-one, through conversations that every beef producer in this country should be having with their neighbors, their friends, their family, people in their community. But also through new social media tools like Facebook and Twitter and blogs on the internet. And an opportunity there to take our story directly to consumers and do a better job, frankly, than we have in the past of telling them what we're all about.
That's encouraging. So to other folks that are as passionate and as heated up about what we saw, what would you tell us as producers?
Well, you know what? I'd say get engaged.
Okay.
And what that means, it actually looks like a lot of different things. But first of all, if you're not a member of your state cattlemen's association or the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, you need to get involved, get engaged, and become a member, because there is strength in numbers. Now, the Humane Society of the United States claims they have 11 million members across this country. And we need every beef producer, about 750,000 strong, to be active and engaged in their local, state, and national cattlemen's beef associations. In addition, we've got a new program a lot of people may have heard about, I know you've heard about, called the Masters of Beef Advocacy Program.
Absolutely.
Over 900 people, Kevin, since we first talked about this, have signed up for this program and have said, you know what, I'm going to make a commitment to doing something every day to be an advocate for this industry, to tell my story.
That's awesome.
And the Masters of Beef Advocacy Program is going strong, but 900 members isn't enough. We need 9,000 members, or we need 90,000 members of the MBA program, graduates, if you will, of the MBA program.
Thank you so much for everything you do. You got your work cut out for you.
Well, thank you, Kevin, for having me on and helping us spread the word.
Absolutely. You can sign up for the Masters of Beef Advocacy Program and speak up for our industry. To do so, visit cattlemantocattleman.org.